If you're interested in starting your own prepaid calling card or pinless calling business, this presentation is the right place to start. After viewing this presentation, you can contact PEC Telecom at 1-732-290-1900 or visit our website at pecbilling.com. During this presentation, we'll cover a few key concepts that will help you to get started in your own prepaid calling business. First, we'll explain to you the business model. We'll show you what the customer's experience is today, how the business model traditionally worked, and how the business model is changing today. Then, we'll explain to you how to start your own reliable prepaid calling service. We'll explain to you the different components that are involved, and then help you to decide whether to purchase a solution or to rent or host a solution. Then, we'll explain to you how to make money in the prepaid calling card business. We're going to explain to you some helpful hints to really help you maximize your profit in the business. And finally, we'll explain to you what to do next if you're actually interested in starting this business. First, let's explain to you the customer experience. Chances are, if you're viewing this presentation, you've purchased a prepaid calling card in the past. Henry visits the ABC retail store and he purchases a calling card. On the back of that calling card is an access number. Henry dials this number and then he hears a message, "Welcome. Please enter your PIN number." After hearing this message, Henry enters his PIN number and then he hears a message, "You have $10.00 remaining. Please enter your destination number." Henry dials his mother in the United Kingdom and then he hears a message, "You have 100 minutes remaining." The phone rings in UK and his mother answers the phone. Henry speaks for, let's say, 15 minutes and then he hangs up. Now Henry tries to call again and he only has $8.50 remaining. In the case of a pinless calling scenario, steps 3, where he hears the welcome message, and step 4, where he enters the PIN number, will be eliminated. So now you understand the customer experience. Let's explain to you what the traditional sales model in the prepaid calling card and pinless calling businesses were. So traditionally, you had a service provider, distributors, retail stores, and the internet, and end customers or the end users underneath them. So the service providers would sell to distributors, the distributors would sell to the retail stores, and the retail stores would sell to the calling card users. And the way the profit model would work was that the service provider would sell to the distributors at $3.75. This is a $5 face value card. The distributors would sell to the stores at $4, and the stores would sell to the customers at $5. Now, anywhere in between here, the distributor or the retail store can choose to give a different price. For example, if the retail store wanted to sell for $4.50 and only make 50 cents profit, they have the option of doing that. Today, the model has changed a little bit. The chart in front of you looks a little bit complicated, but it really helps to maximize the service provider's profit. So, service providers now have an option of selling directly to the retail stores and being their own distributors. They can sell directly on their own internet site or through a different internet site. They can continue to sell through distributors to really push a lot of volume. Or, to generate the most profit, they can really sell directly to customers. Now, obviously, the service provider's reach is less than a typical distributor would be, so the volume would be less if they're selling directly to their own customers. However, the profit margins would be much, much higher. And today, the way service providers are doing it, they're really combining all of these different sales models, and they're selling directly to retail stores, selling through distributors, and selling directly to end users. So they're maximizing their profits, and even small service providers are able to generate enough profit to generate a good, fairly decent income. So we've explained to you how much the distributors are making, how much the retail stores are making, and how much the customers are purchasing the cards for. But how much does the service provider make? We haven't explained that yet. Well, the truth of the matter is printing a prepaid calling card is no different than printing cash. If you print a $5 calling card, you can go out there and sell it for $3.75 to a distributor or $5 to the end user. The truth of the matter is you actually don't have to provide the service to back that. So essentially, you're printing cash. Now, the profit for a service provider is determined by the service provider. So for example, if you're selling to a distributor and you say, I want to make a 10% profit on this face value, which on a $5 card, which is 50 cents, you'll decide that your cost for the card should not be more than $3.25. So you'll determine your rates and your fees and the expiration dates for that account so that you will not lose, it will not cost you more than $3.25 on that card. So the truth of the matter is you as a service provider, determine the actual profit on each card. A typical service provider will aim to set his cost on a $5 calling card at $3.50. So that means if he's selling through the distributor, he's making 25 cents. Through the stores, he'll make 50 cents. And if he's selling directly to the customer, he'll be making $1.50. And let's say, for example, he wanted to sell it to the customer at a 10% discount, he'd still be making $1 because the customer would be paying $4.50 for that card. So as you can see again, with this new business model that's come to play today, the service providers are really maximizing their profit. 7 to 10 years ago, the cost of getting into this business was much higher than it is today. For each site, let's say for example you wanted to put a site in New York, it would cost you at least $250,000. And then if you wanted to put one in LA and Miami, it will cost you an additional $250 for LA and $250 for Miami. In addition, distributors and retail stores were very reluctant to work with you because they were used to dealing with these big companies and they weren't used to dealing with new, smaller providers. Long distance carriers, they really wouldn't work with you unless you had $100,000 or $200,000 deposit to give to them. In addition, as I explained, you had to have one setup for each city. And the recurring expenses, in addition to the upfront costs, were very, very high. In each site, for example, your minimum cost would be $6,000 to $10,000 a month. So to break even, it really took you some time. So if you didn't have that initial cash to cover yourself for the first few months, you'd be out of business before you even got started. Finally, long-term contracts were required, and they were based on credit. So if you were a new company, you didn't want to tie your personal wealth to this business, there's no way you could have started. Today, things are different. You can get started in as little as 1 week. The monthly outlay is no more. It basically starts at $650 a month. Distributors and stores are open to working with you. And very cool thing today is that from one system, let's say for example it's in New York, you can serve UK, France, the west coast of US, you can serve Miami, Seattle. So you can really serve all of these cities and give them access numbers, and they can all hit your platform in New York, which you could never have done before. Also, there's no long-term contracts required today. Most companies will work with you on a month-to-month basis or require a 3-month or a 6-month contract, and there's no credit involved. So that's really important. And finally, these large carriers that used to never work with you, now they're willing to work with you on a prepaid basis. So you don't need these huge outlays of cash to really get into the business.